problems facing the local enterprise partnership in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. It all started 7 months ago when the Cambridgeshire MP, Stephen Barclay, raised questions about how the LEP was being run. An inquiry was set up by the National Audit Office, which oversees public spending. The government then froze nearly £38 million, which should have gone to the LEP while the investigation took place, which means some businesses may have suffered. Last month, the Mayor wrote a letter saying he should take over the running of the LEP, and 3 members of the LEP board called for the chairman to go. The report by the National Audit Office is expected later this month. The Mayor of Cambridge and Peterborough has acknowledged that he and the LEP do not see eye to eye, and he would like to see a shared executive.
We're in the situation we're in. You know, the money is not available, and then that means that we've got to deal with the problem much more quickly. So, you know, we're trying to sort the situation out. We want to sort the situation out. The options we'll put forward to share services, of course, and share a chief executive. What we're trying to do is make sure the money comes from government into the business in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough and our surrounding areas, that LEP area. So we're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to push forward the situation and move on.
Well, the chairman of the LEP, Mark Reeve, couldn't join us today, but told us he's confident the LEP has been compliant since July and has nothing to add to what he said last month when he was asked if he was embarrassed about the situation.
I'm not embarrassed by it at all. I think they should be embarrassed. I think CLG and the Mayor should be embarrassed by causing this situation and causing the problems they've caused. Our position is quite straightforward. There are no factual matters outstanding as to why the funding shouldn't come forward, and there is no grounds for the Mayor's proposition. Why would we be embarrassed?
Richard Bacon, do we need a LEP and a Mayor?
I think it might be a good idea if they became one, actually. And I think when the idea of directly elected mayors covering a large area was brought forward, which was controversial because you already have several layers of government. Some people are arguing that with the police and fire commissioner, which was then separate, it was going to be 5 layers of government. I think the idea was that the local enterprise partnership, the LEP, eventually became the bureaucracy, the infrastructure and the funding for a directly elected mayor. So I think that should be the direction of travel. It hasn't been yet, but I think that's partly because the thing has not been gripped with enough confidence, and there's been a lot of local opposition for a variety of different reasons, but I think that's the right direction of travel.
Do you agree with that?
No, I don't, and I actually think that the chaotic way that the LEPs were set up just served to show that this is undemocratic, and these chickens are now coming home to roost.
Yeah, but the point about the directly elected mayor is that he is democratic, and that provides the democratic gap that you're talking about.
Yeah. So actually, if the direct you don't have one in Norfolk.
No, exactly.
But if you had one in Norfolk, the directly elected mayor would be elected.
Responsible for it.
And you wouldn't mind, therefore, if he took on the role of the
Well,
mayor?
I'm uncomfortable with the position of mayor as well, because I think we do have too many layers of government there. What happens to our democratically elected councillors? This is money, millions and millions of pounds that are coming into our area, and it's not being spent. It's not open. It's not transparent. But I'm not confident that the mayor themselves are positions that we should be having.
So what would you have?
Well, we have a system in place at the moment, councillors, borough councillors, county councillors.
And you give them the money to spend,
but they're far more in touch with what's happening in their local communities. The overall area of control for the mayor is massive.
We do have problems with LEPs, don't we, across the region?
Well, I think they vary. The New Anglia LEP, which is our area in Norfolk and Suffolk, I think is one of the better ones. It's had 1 or 2 problems, but I think it's done quite a good job, actually. I think there are bigger problems with the greater Cambridge and Peterborough one. The National Audit Office, which I know well, have worked with them for 16 years, does not lightly launch inquiries, and it's done so in this case. The board minutes of the LEP itself say that there are serious concerns that there's been a breakdown of confidence by central government in the LEP, and that is a serious breakdown of confidence. So there is a case to answer, and we'll await with interest the conclusion of the National Audit Office report.
Actually, you think the one in Norfolk and Suffolk has done quite well, but actually you're not sure because you don't hear too much about it in West Norfolk.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see a significant impact of it, and as I said before, we have a low income economy, and we have the biggest income inequality in Norfolk and Suffolk, and so I don't see the positive impact that you're talking about from the LEP.
I think both of you say that actually you may do without the LEP eventually?
No, and not necessarily. I think you need some sort of economic development body, and I personally would like to see it under a democratically accountable head.
So
we've got 414 councillors in Norfolk, and that's not including the parish councillors. That's just including the district councils, the City of Norwich, and the county. Feels a bit top-heavy to me. I think we need streamlining, we need reform, and the LEP should be under the control of a democratically elected figure. And I personally like the idea of directly elected mayors, but it's got to have the support of local people.
Actually, the directly elected mayor for Cambridgeshire has done things, or wants things, which would be good for you.
Certainly spoken up about the need for greater infrastructure funding in our area. We all know how terrible the roads are, the A10, the A47, and he's spoken up in a way that our own MP hasn't done.
OK. Well, now for our roundup of the political